Hi, kitty cats. I am Amethysta Herrick, your hostess for the Purplepaw, a weekly discussion from your friends down here at the Purplepaw clan, exploring the intersection of identity and gender, sexuality and intimacy, and community and spirituality. So this content right here is brought to you by sponsors and supporters of the Purplepaw clan. If you are already a supporter, let me first just thank you so much for your ongoing support. As a supporter, you can tell other people who aren't that you receive new content directly to your email inbox as soon as we hit publish, and you are also able to interact with every contributor directly, which includes me, and who would not want to interact with me, really? So, if you would like to support shows just like this one, as well as other podcasts, videos, and written articles by our contributors, I hope you will consider subscribing using the links you will find down there in the show notes. I am very, very honored and excited to speak with my guest today, Kanika Vasudeva. Hello, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
No, it's going to be so cool. We've been talking, oh my gosh, we've been talking for 50 minutes because it seems like, we had a bit of a connection. Isn't that cool? All right, so Kanika is an Akashic Records reader and an energy coach. Also founder of the Art of Life Center. And there's several things they do there, one of which is helping parents create better environments for their children. And that was part of what originally interested in me and you. I'd like to start off, I know it's not a happy story. I'd like to start off with, the story you told me earlier. What happened that led you ultimately to want to look into Akashic Records?
That's a great question. So I was raised in India. I suppose, I never grew up thinking this is what I'm going to do. My family was very much around education, around being a professional. So I went on, I became an engineer. I went to one of the world's best business schools. I was a multimillionaire project manager as well. So on the outside, I was doing really, really well. If you looked at Facebook, if you looked at LinkedIn, the photographs would be great, the achievements would be great.
Yeah.
And here's this funny thing that I find with life, that in general, this template of life that we have, there's an expectation in the society with people who love you as well, that there's certain steps you're going to take. And I was hitting those milestones. Right. I was doing the things. And yet I was around this sort of 35 mark and life wasn't feeling great. And then I asked around and talked to some people, not really telling them as much because I wasn't so comfortable or even aware of the pain of what I was feeling inside. But I was like, hey, life just doesn't seem so great. And how's your life going? And it was the expectation that as you grow up, happiness goes down.
Yeah. Yes. And yet we work harder and harder because I think we go, well, if I buy that bigger house, if I buy that 14th car, I'm going to be happy.
I'm going to get, yeah. So, and I was increasingly getting to a place where I felt really disconnected. Yeah. So I had my son by then, I was married, and life on the outside was perfect. In terms of the milestones that I had to achieve, they were there. We were doing well financially, and I wasn't happy. I was also pregnant with my daughter at the time. So I was really trying to find that peace, find that balance. Listen to people who talked around meditation, and I really tried it then. I really tried stilling my mind. I would still my mind for 2 minutes or 5, which seemed really, really hard. Hardwired engineer, MBA, project manager, you think of plan A, plan B. So not thinking of anything, very hard.
Yes. Understood. Totally get that.
So when I was trying to quiet my mind, A, it was very hard, but also 2, even if I did, I would feel good for, let's say, that time. I would feel good for a little bit more after that. But my life was still as shitty as it was. It hadn't changed.
Right. Yes, I hear that. Okay.
So I knew something needed to change. I sort of
Yeah.
didn't know how. Then one day I woke up and I just never felt my daughter move inside me. So I went to the doctors. They did a scan and they told me that there was no heartbeat. She was 31 weeks. I was preparing for her arrival. We had the nursery room ready. We worked out arrangements, how it was going to be with my son, who was about just a little bit above 2 years now, 2.5 by the time. And I don't even still know how to really put it into words what happened then. But let's summarize to say that everything that I had in me that was coming out, suddenly all the pain that I had in me, whatever I was trying to not see really, that was coming out because it was just a very physical thing that happened. This wasn't a loss I could run away from. The bigger questions I had was, well, did I do something wrong here? I've lost my daughter. I never really got time to celebrate her while she was with me. I never really took the pause and really went like, well, you're here and I love you so much, the way I could do with my firstborn. Because I was so much on the autopilot, I was so much trying to plan things around her arrival.
Sure.
And despite the planning, nothing went my way. I had planned, I'd got clothes for her because I thought, well, I was going to have 2 very young kids. So I had got clothes for her and I'd really washed them, organized them, 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, the project manager in me. I had planned and it didn't work.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that. It wasn't that I was a failure. It wasn't that, but it was the shame. It was the guilt. What did I do as a mom? I failed in my job as a mom. And then it was this overwhelming realization when you take that pause and when you really start looking, which is why I think we all run away from ourselves and looking inside, is because when I started looking inside, I went like, gosh, nothing in my life's going right. Like it seems right outside, but it's not right inside. I just am not feeling okay at all. And so I wanted to check out of life. Like my grief was unbearable. I made a list, the engineer, logical person. So I went down, made a list of all the people, and I went like, well, this person, they'll just understand that I have this grief that I'm not able to cope up with. And I'm like, okay, I can check out of life. This one person I could not do that to, and that was my young son, because he was 2.5. And so, I had to live. And this was funny, life's irony, life's lesson. But here's what was happening, right? I have a 2.5-year-old kid. He does not really know at 2.5 what's really happening. He's just seeing his mom. She's crying and overwhelmed. And so he would come up to me, give me a toy, and expect me to be happy with it. And then I was still crying, and he would go, well, why don't you have the other one,
That's adorable.
Yeah, like simple, very simple. Happiness is so simple.
Right.
And so I would look at him and I would go like, well, how is he happy? And it was really this fundamental question that we were all born like that. We all knew somewhere what makes us happy. Like I would look at this little kid, and if I would tell him that, hey, you've got to go for a shower, and he was busy playing, and he sort of didn't want to switch, then I would say, okay, we're going to have a shower in another minute. And literally there would be a time where he would stand and he would just jump for the minute because he wanted to make the most out of that minute. He could squeeze happiness out. So we all could squeeze happiness out. Like we were so wired for happiness. And I would see him and I would see myself in my situation. And I would go like, what the heck happened here?
Right, right. How do we go from this state of, I don't want to use the word innocence, but this state of embracing life to ultimately hating it enough that we go, oh, maybe it's easier just to go.
Yeah, like here was this 2.5-year-old kid just showing me how natural it was for us to be happy.
Yeah.
And I think even the older and older that we get, if we allow that natural state to be, like, we don't have to learn this, we're all born with this, but it gets tempered and we forget that. So here was my son who was teaching me about happiness. And because I couldn't not check out of life now, I was learning to live. So if I had to live, this was my conversation with the universe now. And really speaking as a mom, I was going like, well, this has happened, but I need to connect with my daughter because I need to understand what happened, why she came, why she did not come. I really need to understand that. And you've got to help me out here because you've put me in this position. It wasn't a question even for me as unthinkable as that sounds, because I had no idea of how I would do this, how stuff would materialize. But it was very much like a mom asking, as a parent, when you want to care for your kids, you don't know how, but you always say, well, I'm going to look after you, right? Like you just sort of know that you're going to do everything that it takes and you have no idea. And that's what I was doing with the universe as well. And just going like, well, you got to give me away and I need to talk to my daughter. There was no if there was no ask there. It was just like, well, this is a declaration. It's got to happen.
Yes.
And so I found a teacher at the time who introduced me to energy healing. And then I got into Akashic Records as well. And I connected with my daughter, which was the most profound thing. And my question to her was, what happened here? Am I wrong? What did I do? And I'm so sorry. And she said, well, I did nothing wrong. It was exactly as planned. Before I incarnated on earth, I had a soul agreement with her. The agreement was that if I was wasting my life, she would try to wake me up, which she was trying to do with everything. When I was getting those knocks, when I was feeling unhappy, when I was feeling disconnected, she was trying to do that. But I wasn't yet reaching a place where I was just able to take that signal and really listen and tap into it. And so she had to do this, where she came into my life and then she walked away so that I would get aware that life's bigger than just the autopilot that we live it on. So it was such a blessing, as terrible as this sounds in the early experience. It wasn't like that at all. I think I'm so blessed and really blessed and grateful to it all because she stays with me. It's just a different form. She's been my biggest guide. Life before and after has been different. It's literally dark. And that phase, even if I look at my photographs, they're just so different. And how it is now, it's so different. If I could explain that, the state of happiness is different. Earlier, the happiness was in a milestone. It was attached to getting the next car, the house.
Right.
It was attached to the bigger thing, or sometimes it was escapism, like going out for a movie, escaping with a friend, even drinking sometimes, just to forget, to be able to sleep and just pack it all up, get numb and go on, right? So happiness was spike because happiness would come and then happiness would go.
Of course.
And happiness now is like this line. It's just this straight line. It's there. It's inherent happiness. And what I've tapped into is what my son was showing me was that inherent state of happiness. But you don't have to do it. Like he doesn't have to think about happiness. He just is. And it's that state. So my happiness is not getting affected by how much time it takes me to get to a certain place, how much traffic jam happened. My happiness is not getting affected by someone saying something that is not in agreement with what I believe in. My happiness is not getting affected by that. That's such a beautiful gift. And so I'm so thankful for this experience.
Thank you for that, first of all. What a very powerful story. Thank you. I've got to figure out how I even want to say this. You had mentioned you were the engineer, you were planning things, and then your daughter said, well, there was a plan. I mean, it was a different plan, obviously. It was not your plan. It's the plan of the universe. And now what you've mentioned is that you've been able to say, well, things aren't going according to my plan, but that's okay. I'm not sure where this...
No, but I totally understand you, you know.
Okay.
I think we all try to plan our lives. Whether we are
Right.
like actively planning it, passively planning it, we plan it. And in that, there is this feeling as if I run my life. But there is no plan.
Yes.
Like, you know, maybe I could die on the spot right now. Like, that wasn't a plan, but that could happen. Anything can happen in life.
Don't do that, though, please. Come on, this is going to... I'm joking, but it's a good point. Yes, everything is transient, I suppose is the word I want to use.
Yes, and not always even just bad in human terminology, but it could even be good things, like just the way you and I connected and we talked about things like that. You know, yes, you could say that you and I were the action takers there, but what really transpires, you can't plan that.
Right.
So I think that the more I let go is more believing in the universe automatically has its law and order, that things are working accordingly. When I actually try and control it, I'm more going like, well, I know a lot more. You know, even before my daughter was born, I had ideas about her life and how her life would be like. And one of the things I would question is I knew she was going to be a girl. So I would go like, well, you know, my life is sort of shaped out like this. How am I going to do things differently for her? So imagine the amount of planning, controlling that we do when we have no control. It's almost like there's this beach and you're trying to put little pins or nails there by the side of the wave and going like, well, water's not going to escape from this one. But guess what?
Right.
Like, it does not matter how many nails or how big a wall you put there. The minute there is wherever the water has to come from, it will come from.
Yeah.
The natural flow of life, universe is like that. Our trying to control it is futile and, if anything, energy wasting, because we spend so much time controlling it. If only we could just understand that life is working out for us and really truly believe that, then we would let go of the resistance and we would actually be empowered a lot more. Because here's the beautiful thing. What I thought was hard, what I thought was wrong, what I thought was terrible, that's what shifted my life. That was such a graceful, blissful moment.
Yeah.
Wherever we think that life's really hard and this should never happen, that's where growth and evolution is happening. Like, let the light in instead of trying to fight it.
Agreed. As a parent myself, though, and I mean, you know, we were talking a little bit about this before as well. When you're a parent, I don't know. Yeah, we have the tendency to say, well, I'm planning things out. I'm gonna make you do the things I want you to do, and we go, well, it's for your own good. You know, we have that tendency to say it's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because we really think like that, you know, sometimes it's coming from an ego place that we may or may not be aware about. And sometimes we really think that it is better for them. Okay, but how I'd say that to parents is that just consider for a moment that how you are and how your kids are, that there's a divine plan to it. Consider their hair, consider their characteristics, your own characteristics, your own skills, your own things that you wanted. So if you think of them as bigger than the body itself, like if you think of them as the soul, then the soul's got a story. The soul's got a purpose of coming to earth. Whatever we might even perceive as weakness or wrong, there's a reason why the soul is going that way.
Yes.
Now, I'll give you examples to be able to probably articulate that. Like any parent, just as we mentioned, I wanted to control my son as well. And around the time when he was 3, I was noticing that he would go to the playgrounds and he was not wanting to try climbing on the swings or climb certain things that his peers would do. And you know what? As a mom, I wanted to fix that.
Sure, like you do. I mean, it's what we do. What's wrong with my kid? I'm sure I can fix that.
Well, let's try. Let's nudge them a little bit, right?
Yes.
So I would tell him, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And he just seemed really reluctant. And then one day it just got to me and I said, well, let me look at this. So I'm a clairvoyant, as I'm an energy coach. I look at things, I get visions, and I looked at it. And when I tuned into him, I learned about his past life. One of his past life was where he had started working, earning for his family at a very young age, around 4 or 5. I mean, you think about it, we've all, even if we just went back 1 or 2 generations, like do mathematics and go up till World War II, it wasn't very, very long ago. We might just have not seen it, but I guarantee that, go back to 1 or 2 or 3 generations, and you will find that even if the stories are not being told in your families, we've all survived wars, deprivation of some kind.
Right.
We've survived some scarcity. We've survived some sort of lack in some sense. Like, it is hard for anyone, even as abundant as your lives might seem. Go back a few generations, even just 3, you will start finding the stories there. There is a study that was done for Holocaust survivors, and what they found was that the kids who knew nothing, so even 3 generations before, they were still experiencing more stress, more anxiety because of the trauma that had happened with people in their lineage.
Okay.
So if they're carrying that, this is scientifically proven that at least 3 generations of trauma that is still running through our blood, through our body, right? We're all carrying those imprints. So whatever we are working through, we have those fears because somewhere in our body, either in our past life, either in our ancestry lines, either our own growing experience, we have felt that there is no fear that's coming without a story. Like, you have it because of a reason. There is nothing that you feel like, hey, I have this belief. There is a reason for that. There was a wiring. Something happened in your incarnation, in your body being put together. There's that wiring that comes through. So I look at my son, and now there's this past life where he had to start working when he was really little. And so operating out of that past life, and he's going like, well, now I've got this new life. And you know what? I'm not going to grow up because I'm going to have my childhood.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I would have done the same.
Yeah. So, but once I could see that in the space, and this is where Akashic Records become really important, then I could just talk to him spirit to spirit and go like, hey, that was your pastime story. And I understand that. Like, makes sense, like you said.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you did not want that, look at how much fun we could have. Like, if you wanted to grow up look at the other playgrounds we could do, look at the other jumping and all the other stuff that he could do. And I took him through like some of the park stuff that he would like. And I told him that, look, you can do all of that. And we can grow on travels together. We can do amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And also, here's an agreement from me that if you're scared that you will need to work because you're growing up, I won't have you as the breadwinner. I'll be here. I'll look after you. I'll do my job.
Right.
You can be the child. But grow up, be your age if you want to do that. And he was in agreement. Once his spirit agreed, then the changes in the body happened very quickly after that. So, same child growing up is very much a child who is very adventurous, wants to go out, wants to like try new things and so on. So it's very powerful. But what I'm trying to get to is that as parents, as caregivers, we look at one slice of the whole picture. And we evaluate everything from that. Like I look at Kanika in this body and I just look at this is me, this is my body, or I look at my child and I just see them. I don't see always a soul in them. Let's see if I can explain that. Think of an apple and imagine it's a healthy apple, like a healthy, good apple, right? You cut it out into 1,000 pieces. Take out one slice, which is a paper-thin slice. Now, this is the aspect of our lifetime, one lifetime, whereas you yourself are that soul, the whole apple itself.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
So usually when we look at each other, we look at that little apple slice, the thin, paper-thin slice, and we evaluate everything from that. We don't tune into the soul. We don't tune into the apple. We don't see what their story is. Mm-hmm. Sometimes what we perceive as lack is also because of what they want to do. That's their own growth journey.
Sure. Oh, okay. Understood.
So if I give another example here, now my same son, he had a speech delay for some time.
Okay.
And so, again, as I'm learning all the energy healing and stuff, I'm like, well, let's look at you and let's see what we can do here. But I'd also learned around this concept of free will, that as souls, or bodies, we all have our free will. And it's ethical to allow the souls to be in their purpose, to not tamper with it. I remember sitting with him and, one time asking him, well, hey, do you want a healing? And he went like, no. And that was very intriguing to me. Like, why wouldn't you want that? So, of course, I didn't violate it then, but I was like, okay, why? Why do you want to be in this state? And then I saw another past life where he had been a warrior, and he's always had this where he's gone out and achieved a lot of things, like being really successful in all the wars, but killing people and being very fast and driven. So in this lifetime, one of the purpose that he had was that he wanted to learn how to feel for other people. And so as much as speech delay seems like the wrong thing, weakness fundamentally, that was his way to learn more empathy. Because if you are not allowed in that sense, you have to take time to form your sentences. You've got to think a lot. You've got to absorb a lot. You've got to hear what other people are saying. You just have no choice. So if you think about it, the system is perfect. The universe is operating perfectly. Once I got that out of the way, it was beautiful. And of course, as he's evolved and as his understanding of other emotions has evolved, and I can see how perceptive and how sensitive a child he is as he's grown up. That foundation gave him that which he needed. And now his speech is coming back and things are getting back on track because that's how it was meant to be. But sometimes we think that we are fixing our child, that there's something that we're supposed to do, but there is a divine plan. There's a divine plan in them at this age, whatever is happening. There's also a divine plan of what will happen when they grow up, because we tend to worry about it.
Of course. Well, that's the I'm doing it for your own good thing. I mean, even if you said, because I don't know, I have known parents who are like, oh yeah, he didn't speak until he was 3. It was the weirdest thing. And it's like, I don't know, maybe that's just because you had brought that up as well. We don't, how do I want to put this? Western parents, let me say this. Western parents, everything is a pathology. If you don't grow up completely normally, I've got to use air quotes. If you don't grow up, if you're underweight. If you're overweight, if you don't speak quickly enough, if you speak too quickly, everything is wrong. It's always wrong. Well, yeah, we want to fix that, right? Because parents are like, well, that's my job. My job's to make things easy for my kid. And you've mentioned, well, sometimes it's better to leave it hard for your kid because that's what your kid needs to go through. Once again, I don't know where I was going to go with this, where I was going to end it, but that's a difficult path. I'm like, how do you even counsel somebody in that?
I think what we've all got to remember is that what is our role as a parent? And often we can take that as an extension of ourselves, that, the things that I couldn't do.
Yes,
and so my child got to carry on that legacy.
Right.
Or sometimes we feel like we are their caretaker. And isn't that such an egoistic thing? Like, think about it. I was planning for my daughter when she was not even here, and I was making life perfect for her. But so I'm as guilty as anyone else, and I totally understand it. But the universe has a divine plan. When we all come, before we come, we map out our soul agreements. Mm-hmm. We map out what is it that we are going to learn. And universe is perfect, As my life as a project manager, there were just a few iterations I could do. Like if thing did not go according to plan A, we would do plan B. They're just a numbered iteration that I can do because of the physicality of it. Whereas the universe and how it works is just wired so differently. Universe works on the frequency scale. So it's looking at your frequency, and then it's automatically matching you with the iterations of what is the next step. So in that sense, you are the creator, because everything depends on how much you're wanting to heal, how much you're able to evolve and let go.
Yeah.
And that's how things will shape up for you. But universe has not made a defined plan. You are the creator in it. You're the co-creator in this one. But universe will always give you opportunities to be able to evolve and pick up from there and then move on to the next thing. So if your lesson, and maybe this is where the confusion is between the physical world and the spiritual world, because in a physical world, what good looks like is you hitting the milestones. Some of the milestones are in dollars or in, other things such as the car, the house. Sometimes it's the amount of salary, it's the marriage or partnership, whatever, right? We have those milestones and we think if we are tracking along those milestones, we're doing good.
Sure.
Soul does not work this way. Soul is not looking at these parameters like this is not evolution for the soul. Soul thinks, well, as the apple, why is the apple coming? Why is the apple taking out that little slice and coming here? It has a purpose. There's something that it wants to learn. Let's say it wanted to learn about love. Now, maybe there are certain things that it knows about love. Maybe it knows about, I'm very good at loving. I'm very good at receiving love in the family. I'm very good at understanding things in the family. Then it wants to expand that more at a community level. It wants to expand that more at a much wider level, even a country level. And soul is always just thinking, well, what have I not learned about love right now? So even a person who's so loving will sometimes then get a person who has cheated on them or betrayed them in some way, so that then they can learn around the forgiveness, around the unconditional love. Sometimes we might just have kids where we really need to take care of them. And think about what the kids are teaching you as well there, especially
Yeah.
parents with neurodivergent kids or kids who just need a lot more love and care. What's really happening? On the surface, it seems like you're really looking after them, but they're also teaching you to let go of your own perfection, because
True.
you have to love them despite the weakness, despite the fact that they could not learn something, they could not progress according to a milestone. And as you do that, you allow yourself the grace to be able to accept your own flaws.
You could, right? I mean, because I threatened that I was going to ask the question. I mean, we see so many children, and I'm using that loosely. It doesn't have to mean young children, but we see so many children turned out of their homes because they came out as gay or transgender or whatever, that they don't want to conform to sexual or sexuality or gender norms. And parents go, oh, well, there's the door. I mean, we could learn from that, and yet sometimes we don't. What do you think they're doing?
And I'm so glad you got this up. So glad. Thank you so much.
I said I threatened the question. I wasn't sure if you were going to want it. So there we go. Good.
Because I have looked at this for a really long time. And again, what a blessing this is. So this is how the body happens, right? Body is physical. Spiritual energy is a lot less dense. Actually, it's not as dense. That's why we don't feel it. And when I say something is dense, as in you can touch the bottle, we can touch our bodies, right? Mm-hmm. It's different. For the body to happen, more energy needs to be donated at an earthly level. So we are getting energy from our ancestors as well. So this also means that there is literally no way that you could have been born without you receiving the energy from your ancestry line. And they understand how you are. So we think of our parents as just the parties in our birth. That's bigger than that. Let's talk about a few players.
Okay.
We're incarnating on Earth. So first of all, the Earth, and we also call her Mother Earth, right? Mother Earth also agrees that we are going to be here. And she's seeing the full story. She's seeing the full apple. She's seeing who you are. Parents might be wanting a particular aspect, like dad might be saying, oh, I want my son to run this business. Mom might have another idea, whatever you have for your perfect child, how they're going to behave, right? But the biggest story is that the ancestors, your earth itself, they are seeing you, they're welcoming you, and they're saying, yes, we want you to come on earth and we want you to evolve humanity on earth. So for all the people who find that they are strange, that they are queer, that they are standing out, that they are the ones no one understands, they feel that the fault is in them. I want to tell you that you are perfect as you are. You're designed like this as you are. There is no imperfection because the plan was perfectly executed. There are so many heavenly bodies that wanted you to incarnate and be as you are. Now let me talk about the ancestry line here. Especially if you think of, why did I get this body? Why was I like this wrong person in this family? Like particularly, why doesn't my family understand me and I'm coming out as gay and my family is so traditional? Why is the story happening? So your ancestors, what they want to do is they're also looking at the family line, so to speak, and they're thinking of it in terms of evolution. They're not thinking of it in terms of milestones. the human milestones. They're not thinking like, did we get married? Did we study? Did we did we earn the amount of dollars? They're not looking at it like that, but they're looking in terms of evolution. What does evolution mean? It means the vibration of love, unconditional love, which is different than love, as a lot of people will think.
Sure. Yeah.
Because unconditional love is just seeing, hearing, valuing, regardless. It's not judging you. It is just loving you. It's just like, hey, I see you, I value you, I cherish you as you are. It's different. So they are looking at those vibrations. They're looking at the vibrations of love, universe, unconditional love, and they're looking at the vibrations of truth, authenticity. How authentic can you be? Not people pleasing, not a perceived persona, but how authentic can we be? So if you feel like you are the wrong one in your family, know that you've been brought in to shift that. And yes, sometimes there'll be those times when your family will not be able to accept, but it was so far out of their understanding in the human experience to be able to get that and to go like, well, this person can be so different. We can have life like that. You've still shown them the way. A candle always comes in the darkness, right? Candle will light up the dark room. And the job of the candle is not to go like, well, the room is so dark. That's why you're the candle.
I get that. That is amazing. I like that. You're saying we are all beacons of truth.
And love.
Yes. I forget the exact words you used. There was a point you made where it was along the lines that families, parents, I think, have a sense of ownership. And I think that was the word you used, ownership. You know what I'm saying, so go ahead. I won't bother saying any more words.
So souls, we have soul agreements with our parents, and that might be a little bit different because they will have their bias. When the earth's looking at you, as an example, she's looking at your full picture. She's looking at the apple. When the sun is looking, because sun is an energy donor for us as well.
Sure.
And he is also looking at the full picture, the apple that's coming, the evolution that this apple is going to have for itself and for the humanity around.
Yeah.
Our ancestors who are getting us into a physical body, they're also thinking of it this way. But humans, parents, and families who want us, they can have a very limited perspective. They're looking at the apple slice and they're going, I want my child this way, I want this way, and I want this way. And now guess what happens? So we define like a soul agreement and we go like, okay, maybe mom had an agreement where she wanted like the perfect daughter, perhaps, perfect looking, perfect hair, perfectly dressed up, whatever that picture of perfection was for her. She's not getting just a body, she's getting the soul. The soul has its own essence, the soul has its own story. So maybe the mom wanted that was the order. But that's not the order that was delivered because
we're like all takeout, we're just takeaway meals. I didn't realize that.
Except that all the takeaway meals have their own consciousness.
Right.
So yes, there is an agreement, and to some extent we operate out of that agreement because we say, well, this is what we're going to do. There's some soul level agreements that we make because we want to come into the body. So sometimes we might, like if I look at my son and me, his agreement or why I had him as a son, and I didn't know it, of course, till I figured it out, was I had him because I really wanted to understand happiness, at the bottom line.
Sure.
What an important thing that was for me because later on I really needed it.
Yeah.
But we have, and there is a reason why you have your kids or why you have actually all your relationships in a certain way. There is an agreement, there is something that you're wanting to learn out of it. Think about it, or otherwise, I have a freebie for parents. That can be at artoflifecenter.com/parent. And I take you through a series of 3 audio meditations, just about 10 minutes each. You'll understand why your kids are born to you. You'll understand your karmic agreement with them, and you'll understand how you can reshape that as well. Because sometimes these agreements, they're great. Like, yes, my son wanted to understand, he wanted to teach me happiness, and he wanted from me to have that space where he'd be able to be himself as much as possible. So I had to grow into it. But sometimes those agreements can be tampered as well. So if I go back to the apple, your apple could be healthy, but think of the lifetimes that it goes to, the traumas it has, and maybe it started with the divine soul blueprint. So it just started with that healthy looking apple, and somewhere it's got cuts and bruises and it's gotten rotten because of the experiences it's had, because of the stories it carries.
Right.
So that's the healing work, where you go and connect with that, and then you start healing the apple, you start healing the soul. And that's when the story changes. So sometimes what's happening in your soul agreements is the contract, that is the divine contract. And then there's other noise that gets in. And you can always clear that out.
You use the word reshape as well. You said reshaping our agreement. That's typically on the parents' part, right? I mean, like your son, when your son was showing you about happiness, you couldn't go, look, stop showing me this, right? Because it's just who he was. That's just what he was going to show you. So that reshaping was in you, not in him. I'm trying to make this into a question, and you see it didn't happen. But I mean, when we talk about kids who are being sent out on, to the streets because their parents go, oh no, I'm never having, some queer kid in my house. That reshaping has to happen in the parents first. Is that correct? Or does it need to be mutual?
This is the great thing around energy, that it does not have the boundaries of time and space. It really does not matter who you want to heal your energy with, whether they are living, whether they are not living, whether they are in another continent, whether you are talking to them, or whatever the scenario is. Like, it is still okay. Like, you could go ahead, you could heal your relationship with your mother, with your father, with your parents, with your kids, and you'll start noticing a difference in how that transpires as well. Because yes, at an earth level, it feels like, well, they're different, they've got to do things on their part. But what is happening in your life, the program that is running your life, that is happening because of your apple. That's happening because of the soul blueprint that you're carrying right now. So if your apple has got scars, you're going to feel that impact in your life. But you can heal those scars because your soul blueprint belongs to you. Your apple, your soul was interacting with another soul. What is happening with your soul, you can always heal that. There's something in you. You're not responsible for the wrong things, or let's say the abusive things that happen in your life. You're not really responsible for that. But there is some program, there is some conditioning, there's some belief, there's some imprint that's running in your soul blueprint that's bringing that vibration to you.
Okay.
And you can get aware and you can heal that story. I'll give you examples. I was working with this dad, and he'd come to me because he'd separated from his wife, so his daughter's mom, and they used to have the daughter like 50-50. So he would look after the daughter, then she would go to mom and she would look after him. And it so happened that once when the daughter was with him, and daughter was about 6 years old, so, fairly able to walk around by herself, not a child that you would go and you would just stand next to and so on. Like you wouldn't
Sure.
watch their actions as you would watch a little toddler. And so once he was with her, and she actually fell down next to him, and it just happened, and she hit her head. She had a concussion.
Oh, gosh.
They got her checked. She was okay. Things were fine. But the mom got triggered by it enough, and she was like, well, you know what? You're not doing your job right, and I'm just going to look after our daughter now. And you're not going to see her. You will only see her at my place, and I'm going to take full custody. And she came out with a proper legal letter, like just really fighting everything out.
Yeah.
And so he was really concerned when he came to me that this is happening. This is not how I want it to be for the child as well. Because especially, I think, when we think of divorce or when we think of kids who are working through this time when their parents are getting separated, we sometimes tend to think around the divorce, or we tend to think around the day-to-day tasks, the day-to-day milestones. Have you provided food for them? Have you provided a home for them?
Yeah.
There's emotional stuff that's going below them. For the child, they are also contemplating, well, now I've got parents in different houses, and maybe they've got different rules. Their whole world, which was just these parents and that family that they knew, that's changed. The rules in the different houses have changed. Anyway, so he was cognizant of the fact, and he was thinking, well, I don't want this to impact my daughter. And I don't want to go to court if we can solve this another way. And here's the beautiful thing. So I started looking at him first, started looking at his story, started looking at his apple, so to speak. What was the soul blueprint that he was carrying? One of the things that we uncovered was that he had this hero archetype running in him.
Sure.
And what does a hero do? Like if you look at any movie, so he'd been a warrior in past lifetimes as well, conquered a lot of battles. He was the victorious one. He would always go on the most difficult regimes, do the most difficult thing, and then be crowned the hero.
Sure.
So this lifetime, heroes always get that tough deal, right? Heroes always have life that is tough, then they conquer that challenge, and then that's how they become the hero. And then there's the award at the end that they get, like, oh, you are now a great hero because you conquered this.
Here's a medal. Yeah.
Yes, here's a medal for what you did. And he was still doing that in his life. And I bring up this example particularly because that's a story that's actually very common to a lot of us. When our life is full of drama, when we're always firefighting or fixing things, there's this part in us that is just the hero that wants to have the medal at the end. And that's what he was doing as well. So his relationship could not have been easier anyway, because it had to be tough, He had to conquer something that was hard.
I see.
So in the session, in my Akashic Records reading session, we first looked at this blueprint, cleared the warrior archetype out of there, just so that he could have more ease, so that he didn't have to draw these circumstances where the child had to fall down, where mom had to react a certain way, where life could be in the flow, where it didn't have to be this dramatic.
Right.
Then we looked at his relationship with him and his daughter, and we brought ease and peace there, like rewired that agreement, that connection.
Okay.
And now this is the amazing thing that we did. So first, looked at the dad, looked at the daughter, healed their relationship. And now I had the spirit mom just look at them. Look at the daughter. Look at how she wanted her dad.
Yeah.
And how she wanted that relationship. And I just had the spirit of the mom just watching that. And we gave healing to the mom as well because she was running her own things. There are things where, if our world usually is wired that there is a win-lose
Oh,
equation.
yes. Yeah.
So if dad's doing better, if my child's with them, then I'm losing. There's something wrong. There's
Right.
the bad mom, or I'm a lesser mom, I'm a less loved mom. So how do I control? I'm just, going to have more time for myself. And of course, she's not consciously maybe thinking of this is what she's doing, but that's the program that's running out. So we healed the mom wounds there, helped her feel enough and good as a mom, worthy as a mom, that this wasn't threatening to her, that it was okay, that she was still needed as a mom. And then I brought all of them together in the equation, and I saw her and the daughter as well, healed their relationship so that that could be a sacrosanct relationship, a relationship where they could enjoy joy, they could enjoy love together and
Yeah.
feel really good. Did the whole thing
Yeah.
with all three of them as well, because even if they'd separated, they were still tied.
Of course.
They're a
Through the
co-parenting
child.
unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So even it doesn't matter if you're not talking to the ex or you are, it does not matter because there's
Right.
still an energetic exchange that's happening. Especially because you've got a child there. Like people will carry the energy of their ex for very long. It is a lot of times when I start doing the healing work, you'll see the partners, sexual partners, even non-sexual partners, even people you just had crushes on, you're still carrying their energy, you're still carrying energetic cords from them. So especially people you are in close communication with, or there is something that is this close, even if you're not talking, just don't kid yourself. You are energetically exchanging energy with them constantly. You just are not conscious of it.
Okay.
So I healed that energy. And then it was amazing. Like what I saw in the session was we got a lot of healing, love, and light for them. So we brought them into harmony, how they could all be together and just enjoy that time together. And then the next day was the proof of all this energetic work, because he
Right.
went to see his daughter after school and had a chat with mom, and she's like, well, last night I was thinking, and I think that maybe I overstepped and we perhaps don't have to do this legal battle. It just wouldn't be
Yeah.
very good for our daughter, which is exactly the outcome that he wanted, and it's exactly the outcome that we'd been working for. Not from a space of forcing the will, but really looking at it in terms of what is it that was in alignment with everybody's higher purpose and giving
Sure.
them that.
Sure.
And when you do it from that space, our spirits, they're really not coming in with those ego battles. They're not operating from the frequency of, well, I win, you lose. The
Okay.
frequency of the spirit, or the higher vibration, always is win-win or lose-lose. And it always wants to go for win-win. So both sides win.
It makes sense. It does. I won't kid you. I'm a little disappointed because I did want to accuse my parents. I was hoping you would give me the ability to accuse my parents. That's only supposed to be funny. I was hoping you were going to say, yeah, your parents totally did you wrong. But you go, no, it's got to be win-win. And
But you bring an interesting point, and I think this is where people, especially people on a spiritual journey, when
Yeah.
they've started looking through it, there's some sort of awareness that comes, and we all go like, okay, well, everything is happening for the right reason. So now I understand why my parents did a certain thing this way. And, at the surface, on top of it, you want to feel like it's okay, and I forgive and I move on. And you know why that doesn't happen is because there is a child part in us, or there is a part in us which is angry, which is frustrated, which is
of course.
grieving
Yeah. A
that it
sense of
did not
unfairness.
get.
Yeah.
Yes, that it did not
Right.
get what it wanted.
Right.
So instead of avoiding that, trying to put a band aid on something that you just haven't healed in the first place, like heal that thing, let those emotions come out. allow yourself to play with that. And I'm not saying, go ahead and just fight with your parents or whoever you have to. I mean, if you want to, you can do that. But write it out in letters, say it, just speak it out loud, record yourself saying that, but let those emotions out. Whatever that inner stuff is, the inner heavier emotions that you are carrying, oftentimes when we are wanting to let go, we jump to the letting go that, hey, let me feel the peace. I understand. So we are working almost logically, mentally. We are going like, this is how I need to feel. This was something toxic that happened. Let me get it out of the system.
Yeah.
Guess what? You have an emotional body, and the emotional body needs to work through it as well. So the emotions need to run out, and you need to say hello to your sadness, to your grief, to your shame, to everything. Don't run away from that. Paint that, draw that, write that, talk that. And it doesn't have to be with the person, but do. If you feel like punching, punch something or punch them, or imagine yourself, have a vision and imagine punching them, but let that out. And don't feel guilty about it. Like that is a part in you that wants to do that. And I guarantee you that once you start doing it, there's this little child, there's this little part in you, in every one of us, that needs to do that. Once you've done that, that emotion goes, because that's water, it flows, it goes out. And then the higher vibrations come in. Then you're able to bring in the higher vibrations of feeling more at peace, because you've done your bit. Till you're holding anger, till you're holding frustration, till you're holding grief, but you can't really hold peace in there. If you want to bring in new stuff in your closet, you first got to let go of the old clothes. You just can't shove them in.
Yeah.
It's similar with your emotions.
So I appreciate that. So what you're telling me is it's okay that I wanted to accuse my parents. I do appreciate that.
And please
So good,
do,
I came out on top.
Write out letters, write out whatever, or say it till you feel like that part is done. Do that. You cannot silence it and then expect that it will just not be there, because yes, you've denied it, but it's still going to be there, and it's going to act up in lots of different ways. You will not.
It does, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's that little child in you, because if it was told not to speak, or you feel like there's certain emotions that you can't speak, you're not able to express, guess what? As an example, it is interfering with your ability to be authentic, to be able to truly speak yourself, because there's a part of you that's still wanting to say something and it can't.
Right. I'm hearing this exactly. This is... I still have a lot of healing I need to do, apparently.
We all do.
More. Okay, that's fair. No, I understand. That's good. And I was trying to make a joke, a little bit of a joke about accusing my parents, but that was I appreciate how you've phrased that, how you framed it. I like that better. How you've reframed what I felt. So
I am so glad that you asked that question, because I kid you not, a lot of people feel that. We just want to grow up and we want to act the adult, and we don't say that. But that is the truth. We all want to cry. Like, we all want to go throw a little bit of a temper tantrum as well sometimes. Like, hey, this happened and I deserved better.
Yes. Well, right. We get this, wow, I was done wrong. Sons. I mean, all of us do. This is, it's not even just our parents. It's when we go to work. You had mentioned a traffic jam. It's the same thing. We go, I didn't need this traffic jam in my life. What kind of unfairness is this on the highway? Apparently, the universe doesn't have good plans for merging. I noticed that, actually. The universe is really horrible. Having two lanes come together. You'd think it would be easier, but I guess not. I don't know. I'm worried when we have like flying cars, because that's going to just be a mess. But I'm sorry, I went way off piece there.
No, that's okay. And we need to tune into the universe and what it's doing with the merging lanes and so on. Maybe it's teaching us patience. Maybe it's just like having fun of its own. Like, why not? It's also not well, it is perfect, but it is an evolving perfect. It is
Yeah,
not
yes,
perfect in the
yes.
sense that we think of perfect. Like, universe is just playing and evolving with consciousness at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time.
Well, because perfect to us means that everything worked out in our favor. That's what we think of as perfect. It's not, it's not the
Yeah,
way
and
things go or
for
should go, but it's
yes,
going my way. So,
for the universe, it is perfect as it is. Like, even if things are going wrong, it's like, well, we're learning from that, we're evolving from that.
right,
The system is
right.
just set up so that, there will be evolution by itself. And it's mathematical. What all the emotions, for example, they have a frequency scale. For example, apathy would be at the lowest. Pride, we all feel that at a certain time. That's around 125. Then, if you go up to neutrality, peace, they're higher vibrations. Whatever vibration you're at, you start attracting things that are more in that
Yeah,
vibrational frequency as well. And something that you've probably heard about. Like, if you're tuning into the radio and you want to listen to 98.5 FM, you might be able to tune into 98.3, 98.7, and that's sort of your frequency band. That's how the universe is operating, and that's all its perfection is. But it's designed so that you get a little bit above, you get a little bit below your evolution frequency. And because it's always like that, if you are wanting to heal, if you're wanting to evolve, you'll just automatically keep choosing the upper layers and you'll get more and more into expansion.
I see.
You might also tend to get really frustrated, or your body just gets really heavy. You're not able to process what you feel is the trauma. You might not be able to learn the lesson.
Yeah,
Like when we talked about the soul, we talked about the apple, we talked about love. Sometimes you're experiencing a lack of love for certain things. You want to learn, for example, unconditional love at a soul level, and at a body level, it might feel really traumatic that this happened.
yeah,
So you might store that pain and you might not be able to work through it. Then you start working through the lower vibrations, and a lot of times it might just get lower and lower and more contracting. But if
yeah.
you just
I see.
work through it and you don't allow the pain to be that much there, and the process would be help your emotions, you let them work through how they are, you work through the energetic imprints, you really open up that story, that space. The apple, you want to make it not that bruised, rotten apple. You want to get it back to health. The more you do
Yeah,
it, the more you change your story, the more you change your vibration level. So universe is actually perfect in that sense that we will get exactly where we are at. It's going to meet us exactly there. So we just need
I
to
like
understand the
that.
system more.
Yeah, I like that. I'm looking at the time. I'd love to talk about this for about the next 6 or 8 weeks, but I figure you might have other things to do as well. And I'm sure that there's somebody who's going to want to reach out about this. Can you tell us first of all, how do we find you on the internet so that other people, so that people can engage with everything that you've done?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I can be found on Instagram or LinkedIn at Kanika Energy Coach. So that is Kanika, Kanika Energy Coach. All my work is about energy. So Kanika Energy Coach. And then my website is artoflifecenter.com. And here I have a couple of freebies as well. There's one that we talked about for parents. There's
Yeah.
also a free clarity call that people can book with me. So if you feel like your life is running through a pattern, there's certain thing that there's a pattern, there's something that you want to rise out of. Like, especially what I love helping people is if they want to expand more, they want to grow their business more, they want to be heard more, they want to really live
Yeah.
authentic lives. What they're saying and doing matches at home, at work. They really want to live with that. Or you want to have just more deeply loving relationships. If you really want to have that expansion, get to that next level, I'd love, love, love to help you. Book that clarity call with me so that we can understand what is the energetic wiring of what's going on, and then how can we
Yeah.
work through it. So that can be at artoflifecenter.com/call. That's totally free. It's half an hour chat where you and I, we just get to know each other. It's personal, it's personalized. You really get one-on-one feedback to your unique situation.
Yeah. And I saw that you have a lot of offerings on your website, the way that you work with people one-on-one. And I think I saw there was some group type work that you did as well?
Yes, so I do a lot of things. There are workshops that I offer as well. I call them mini retreats because they are mini retreats in their sense. Every time we go and we learn around certain things, like one of the workshops I did was for throat chakra activation.
Yes. Okay, I saw that.
Which throat chakra is very much around owning your inner voice, like speaking your truth, really being able to be visible. You know, a lot of times you want to put up a post on social media or we want to say something and we feel like, not ready for it.
Yeah.
You know, your throat chakra is acting there. So I have a lot of workshops like that. They're live ones that I do, and then there are my recorded ones as well. So if you go to the website, you'll find them at artoflifecenter.com/shop. And you'll find all my recorded stuff there. But depending on what people are wanting, I love also working with them one-on-one, whether they want to do just one Akashic Records reading, that is okay. Or otherwise, if they really are looking for an expansion mentorship, like they really want to expand to their next level, then we draw out what is it that you want to achieve. And we have sessions which are uniquely tailored just for that. So I'll tune into the Akashic Records, look at the past life, look at the inner child, look at the ancestral lines. Everything that's impacting you, we'll clear that out. We'll have one-on-one targeted coaching to help you to really shift all of that dynamic and just reshape that. It's like we all live in an energetic whale that sometimes we feel it's invisible, but we know like we're hitting a ceiling against a salary or something. And if you want to get out of it, all you've got to do is break that wall. And so I show you how to do that. I see the blind spots there and I show you how to do that. And we break that so that you are able to expand into your next level. It's like getting from one room into a much bigger hall and then getting into like a hall that's the size of the city.
Yes. This is the project manager coming out. I'm listening to it going, yes, you clearly did project management. I mean that in a good way. I
know.
Doing similar things. So
for me, it is very important to measure results.
Yes.
You know, It's very wired. So remember the first bit where I was saying, well, I would do those 2 minutes or 5 minutes of meditation and I would go, nothing's shifted in my life. So when I got into this whole work, it's always like, well, what is in it? Like what has really happened? Not the feeling good for the moment, but what's really happened. So every session, I want that change. And that is what people get. Like every session they experience that change. Like I talked about the dad who really had this dramatic shift after 1 hour of sessions. It's amazing how things turn around.
Yeah, pretty
because
quick.
you change the energetic wiring there. But that's my passion. That's like literally who I am. You know, I'm wired to see things through results. I'm always like, what is changing in your life for you? So we start with that intention and then we work through that intention. And oftentimes people actually have more than what they could dream about. Because it's just so expansive.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Thank you so much for all this work that you do. It's very important, and I'm glad that you're helping the plan of the universe become clearer to humanity. Because I don't know if you've noticed, looked outside your window at all. We're having trouble figuring out the plan of the universe, and so I thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for the amazing work that you're doing as well, for the person that you are. Because I think it seems at one level as if, it's just me. And you're right in the sense that the world's really wired around lack. It's wired around survival. It's wired around win, lose. Universe is not like that. Universe is very much win-win. So if I am tapping in, and if I'm tapping into the flow of the universe, which is more like flow, which is more like helping you blossom, helping you shine, I'm also shining in that. I'm also expanding. I'm also rising in that.
Yes.
And same with your work as well. You don't know how many places your podcast goes to, how many people listen to this, that it's amazing. Even if one person has a change in their thought, if it's able to expand them, if it's able to bring a little bit more positivity into their life, how amazing is that? So thank you for that work.
Thank you. That made me feel very good. Thank you. All right. Well, let me do my little closing on this. My name is Amethysta Herrick. I've been speaking with Kanika Vasudeva on the Purplepodcast, and we spoke about finding our purpose in the universe. I loved some of these. I took a couple of notes because you talked about how we affect all the humanity around us. You just brought it back up. But I love this one bit, the story behind our fears. Those are the things that we talked about. So thank you again so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for bringing them up here as well, Amethysta. Love it.
Thank you.